Are you the product of an outdated and inefficient school system? Our school system came from Prussia. In the 1840s, Horace Mann went to Prussia to study what was becoming a very popular way of teaching children. He brought the system back to the United States, and industry giants like Rockefeller and Carnegie fell in love with it to consistently turn out supplies of worker bees, year after year after year. It produces a labor class. Not surprisingly, the school system is also called the factory model. What is unbelievable is that nothing has changed for almost 200 years, and it's robbing you. It's robbing you of your individuality and your creativity. Prussia no longer exists today. If that's not a warning, then what is? School training is not education. By preempting 50% of the total time of the young, by locking young people up with other people exactly their own age, by ringing bells to start and stop work, by asking people to think about the same thing at the same time in the same way, by grading people the way we grade vegetables, and in a dozen other vile and stupid ways, network schools steal the vitality of communities and replace it with an ugly mechanism. No one survives these places with their humanity intact. Not kids, not teachers, not administrators, and not parents. Have you ever been told you are not smart enough, talented enough, or you can't do it? These are all false statements made, by the way, but they may have caused you to struggle with low self-esteem, a tough time in school, maybe you hate your job, struggle to make ends meet, live paycheck to paycheck, have a lack of confidence, or maybe have no goals or dreams left. Again, this is not your fault. The school system did this to you. Schools make us intellectually dependent. Good students wait for teachers to tell them what to do. We wait for others who, quote, know better to make sense out of our life. You need to deprogram your schooling. You may think you did great in school. You don't need deprogramming. The thing is, the better you did in school, the more deprogramming you probably need. We all need deprogramming. You learned many things in school that made you a good student, but kept you from being the best version of yourself. Your world has been limited. Your horizon has been limited. The school system has limited what you can see and imagine. Therefore, it is hard for many people to get what they want out of life. We are going to deprogram you so you can see you can get everything you want out of life. How are we going to deprogram you? I will tell you, but first I want to tell you something about yourself. You are a genius. You probably don't believe me. That is because of your programming by the school system. It gets even worse. The school system told you how smart you were, and you believed it. Look, we are all guilty of believing we are who we think others think we are. Now let me say that again. I didn't say who others think we are. I said who we think others think we are. The school system didn't unleash your potential. The school system is why you struggle. This is why we created the Paradigm Shift class. Hi, my name is Craig Jackson, and I'm the owner of Paradigm Shift, a life-changing company with over 250,000 fans on Facebook, and I am the author of the best-selling book, You Need to Know This Stuff. We have been working on the Paradigm Shift class for years. We have truly created something special. You have never experienced anything like this class. You are going to learn why you always seem to be falling short of your dreams and desires, why you have been robbed of your individuality and creativity, and how you can break free these false limits to a whole new world of amazing possibilities. This class is not a system or a gimmick. Intelligence is a byproduct of belief. You are as smart as you think you are. We have 30 lessons to make you believe. You can't learn these 30 lessons and not become an independent thinker. I cannot imagine my life without knowing these 30 lessons. It would be scary. These 30 lessons will open your mind to an amazing world you have never seen, a world that was purposely kept from you by the school system to make you a worker bee. These 30 lessons will finally let you have anything you want out of life. There is nothing, absolutely nothing in this universe which someone else understands that you cannot also understand. If someone else can comprehend it, it can be explained to you in a way which will become perfectly clear. Math, physics, music, poetry, history, biology, psychology, philosophy, anything. I 100% guarantee you, if you want to know it, you can. You were never taught how to achieve your full potential, and this led you to believe you were just not capable of understanding certain things. This is so not true. You should have been taught many things, but you were not, and that was on purpose. You were never even taught how to learn. Think about it. Do you know what is happening with your brain when you are learning? Most do not. Probably most, if not all, the teachers you had through your school years couldn't tell you what your brain was doing either. Does that not strike you as odd? Should it not be essential that we know what our brain is doing when we are learning? Doesn't it make sense that knowing what your brain does while learning will help you learn? Again, were you ever even taught how to learn? Or were you just put in a classroom and told, do your best? Or even worse, do what I tell you to do. Do you know what your brain is doing when you are learning something? You're about to find out. The main factor that will determine whether something is easy or hard for you to learn is your belief. If you think it will be hard or impossible, it will be. You are often your worst enemy when it comes to learning something. Take, for example, reading. You think you won't be able to understand what you are reading, and you think it will be hard. You may feel yourself getting a little nervous. Your mind will be foggy, and you will not be thinking as clearly as you usually do. The vital thing to know is you put yourself into this state of mind. The best thing to do is stop reading when you feel that happening. Your mind is useless right now. Take a break and remind yourself there is nothing you can't learn. Do something else. Repeat to yourself out loud, there is nothing I can't learn. Say it with conviction, there is nothing I can't learn. You will feel confidence build in you. Reread it. You will notice you understand it better. You may even be shocked to see you understand it, and it was quite a simple concept. You just fooled yourself into thinking it would be hard. I have done this so often. I want to make something very clear from the beginning. If your brain can read and comprehend the concepts of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, then there is nothing in this universe someone else understands that you cannot. Not that it doesn't take some effort or work, but if someone else knows it, know beyond a doubt you can too. Understand, when you start to learn something, it may seem impossible at first. You can't see any way of doing it. That is simply because your brain has not yet made the dendrite connections for you to understand it. You can grasp the logic of anything once your brain builds the necessary dendrite connections. You need to have the prerequisite dendrites. We will discuss what dendrites are later, but understand this next statement right now. All brain processes, knowledge, skills, talents, memories, beliefs, are dendrites in action. If you don't know how to do something, it does not mean you can't learn how. All it means is you have not yet made the necessary dendrite connections. The prerequisite for building dendrites is a belief in yourself. The greater your belief, the faster you will make dendrite connections, and the stronger they will become. The more you see yourself learning, the stronger your belief will become that you can learn more. Your inability to grasp a subject in school was not a reflection of your intelligence. It reflected the way you were taught, which affected your belief to learn the subject. Do not blame your teachers because they were taught the same way you were. We need our brains to learn. Duh. Therefore, to take full advantage of our brain, we need to know just what our brain is doing when learning. This step alone will make a massive difference in how fast you can acquire new skills. Once you see how the brain works, you will be more able to visualize the steps in later lessons and know precisely what your brain is doing to process the information. We can't overemphasize the importance of knowing how your brain works. It will boost your confidence. Did you know the brain is the only organ in the body that sculpts itself from outside experience? Every time you learn something new, your brain changes. Your experience becomes biology. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain is continuously rewiring itself. Brain cells are called neurons. You have around 100 billion, and they can each perform over 100,000 functions per second. Yes, that means your brain too. There is no way you can make the excuse that you cannot understand what I will teach you in this class. Dendrites are fibers that grow out of the neurons when you learn. Learning equals growth of dendrites. This is a neuron. Find the dendrites on the left of the neuron. Now find the axon terminals on the right of the neuron. Neurons form contact points from their axon terminals to the dendrites of other cells. The contact point between the dendrites and axon terminals is called a synapse. The contact point may be misleading when describing a synapse. Look at the enlarged synapse in the photo. It is a small gap. Chemicals called neurotransmitters carry electrical signals across the synapse. This is known as the cell firing. As you learn something and practice something, neurons make more connections with other neurons and fire faster and faster. One neuron can make up to 100,000 connections. What this means is you can transform your brain into the powerhouse it was meant to be by increasing and growing your neurons' dendrites and making many connections with other neurons. The neurons cluster together, and this is called a neural network. We will use the words neuron cluster and neural network interchangeably. You have a separate neural network, neuron cluster, for everything you know. The bigger the cluster, neural network, the better you understand the subject and the better you can perform specific tasks. As the cluster gets bigger, the connections between each dendrite will get faster and faster. They call it firing. Technology is good enough now that we can see neurons firing. The chemical electric neurotransmitters are zipping across the neural network at incredible speeds. It's like an electrical storm in your brain. A person with a PhD in math has a more massive cluster in the brain for math than a student. The PhD is firing neurons way faster than the student. A pro golfer has a more extensive cluster in the brain, allowing him to play golf better than an amateur. Consider Tiger Woods. In his prime, his neural network for golf was way bigger than any professional golfer, and his neurons were firing at incredible rates. There are 3 ways to make your brain grow dendrites and make neuron clusters. 1, through the experience of doing something. 2, through imagination. 3, through infinite intelligence. Now that you know what your brain is doing when learning, let's put that knowledge to use and start making a new brain cluster. Let's make a brain cluster for quantum physics. Why quantum physics? A large portion of the paradigm shift class deals with quantum physics and Einstein's theories of relativity. Most people consider those topics way out of their league, and they think they can never understand them. We want you to see not only can you understand, but it will be easy and fun. Now, the reason I chose relativity and quantum physics is because it is an absolute necessity that you understand those concepts. Quantum physics and relativity explain the reality of our world today, which is very strange. Yet most of the world is clueless and entirely unaware of essential facts that significantly impact their daily lives. It is sad and crazy that these subjects are not taught in schools at an early age. Even elementary students could quickly grasp the basic concepts. You need to understand relativity and quantum physics so you can see just how strange yet wonderful this world we live in really is. Light is an electromagnetic wave. Light is also a particle. How could an electromagnetic wave also be a particle? How can you shoot things with light? How can you play pool with light? Think about this. Consider radio waves, or waves sending information to your cell phone. We can't see or feel these waves, but we know they are all around us. So how can they also be physical particles of energy? We don't feel ourselves being bombarded by little pellets or something. How can something be a wave of energy and have physical properties at the same time? So what is light? Is it a particle or a wave? Are you ready for the answer? It is both. It is both physical and non-physical. What? That is not even possible. It is. To discover the answer, let's talk about the two-slit experiment. This is the heart of quantum physics. This is the experiment that changed the world. This is the experiment that is going to blow your mind and forever change how you perceive reality. Get excited. If you haven't heard this before, your world will never be the same. There is a board with two slits, and behind the board is a photographic plate that will detect light. We are going to shine light through the slits. If we close the slit on the right and only let the light go through the left slit, we will see that the photographic plate detects the light on the left directly behind the opening. Nothing unordinary yet. This would agree with Einstein, just as if we had shot BBs through the slit at the board. The BBs would line up behind the open slit. Sounds like particles to me. If we close the slit on the left and only let light go through the right side, we see that the light is detected by the photographic plate only on the right. Again, just as if the light was made of physical BBs. So what would you expect if you open both slits at the same time? As in the picture, you would expect most of the light to be photographed directly behind both slits. But that is not what happens. When you open both slits, you get a pattern on the photographic plate. You get multiple alternating light and dark areas spreading across the entire plate. This is called an interference pattern, and this pattern is only made when two waves collide. The image you see is a picture of an actual wave interference pattern. How can particles produce a wave pattern? Let's do this. Let's keep both slits open and decrease the light's intensity so that only one photon goes through a slit every few seconds. Keep in mind, just one photon every few seconds. If you wait long enough, do you know what pattern you will see on the photographic plate? You will see the wave interference pattern. What? How can a single photon, which we know is a physical particle, go through a slit by itself and eventually produce a wave pattern like the one you see? Now close the slit on the right, so the single photon has to go through the left. Now the wave pattern disappears and we go back to what we would expect. The photons line up behind the slit onto the left, the same as if you were shooting BBs through the slit. If you're confused about this, don't worry. It makes no sense to the natural mind. How can something go from being a wave to being a particle, or from being a particle to being a wave? Waves can't be seen or felt, and particles are physical. But it gets even worse. Scientists wanted to know what was going on, so they used a detector. They kept both slits open, and they fired individual photons through the slits and wanted to use the detector to see which slit it was going through. Something very strange happened. When they used the detector to see which slit the particles went through, you no longer got the wave interference pattern, but the photons lined up behind the slit it went through. But when they took away the detector, the interference pattern returned. What? When we are looking, the photons become real particles, but when we aren't looking, they are waves. What does this mean? Does it mean if you are sitting in your living room and no one is in your bedroom, there is nothing physical in your bedroom, just waves of energy? Wow. You can already feel the change in you, and you have yet to experience one entire class in the paradigm shift class. Not yet one complete lesson, and there are 30. Get excited. Here is a test to see if you are still programmed by the school system. You need deprogramming if you work at a job and don't make a living doing something you love. You need deprogramming if you work long, hard hours for someone else and make them way more money than you make. If you lose your job and your solution is to find someone else to employ you, and you can't see there are so many other options, you need deprogramming. Do you feel lucky or better off than most because you at least have a job and should be thankful for what you have? Are you just getting by but don't want to put yourself in a situation where you can make things worse? You need deprogramming. If you want to stop working 9 to 5 and make your own way through life, you need deprogramming. Stop making these mistakes and limiting your world. Living in a world where the things you seem to want most never seem to show up is frustrating. Again, it comes down to belief. And once you start believing, you open up a floodgate, and everything starts working. You see things you were once blind to. You can't believe why you couldn't see it before. It was right in front of you all the time. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, or 50,951. The Paradigm Shift class welcome message has been opened over 50,000 times. Look at what some class participants have said. I'm really loving the lessons, subjects I've been fascinated with for quite some time. I'm also teaching the lessons to my 6th graders, and they are really absorbing the information thus far and show great interest. I've taken the material and added them to PowerPoints for them. Thanks. Adrienne. I just wanted to let you know I am so grateful to have this course, and you, who are an amazing teacher, guiding us and giving us the strength and the belief we can do this. You are the max. Don't stay in the dark anymore. Begin the Paradigm Shift class and open your eyes to a new world. Then share what you have learned with others. Part of the Paradigm Shift class involves teaching others what you have learned. It is a very important part of your deprogramming. In just 30 days, the Paradigm Shift class will drastically increase your belief in your intelligence. Your intelligence will skyrocket. Your eyes will be open to a whole new world of possibilities. Start your deprogramming now. Begin the Paradigm Shift class today. You can already feel the change in you, and yet you have yet to experience one entire class in the Paradigm Shift class. Not yet one full lesson, and there are 30. Get excited. Not only do you get the 30 core lessons, which show you amazing things you never knew about yourself and the world you live in, but you also get 40 supplements and 74 audios and 24 videos to grow your neural clusters faster, cementing what you have learned. You will also get access to our special email where you can ask us any question about anything you want. The Paradigm Shift class is only $497, but for the next 24 hours we are offering a $100 discount and you get the entire class for just $397. Don't miss out on this. And as a bonus, we will give you access to the Paradigm Shift class 2 and the Paradigm Shift class 3 free of charge. The Paradigm Shift class 1 takes you to the rabbit hole. The Paradigm Shift class 2 jumps into the rabbit hole. The Paradigm Shift class 3 enters Wonderland. If for any reason you don't think this is the best $397 you have ever spent, then just send me an email and I'll refund you every single penny. But you are going to quickly see that this is the best $397 you have ever spent. Did we mention we have over 50,000 opens to the Welcome to the Paradigm Shift class email? Here are some more comments from past participants. Thank you for providing this course. I am loving it. I've been curious since I watched the slit experiment 8 years ago and never took the time to study or dig in any deeper, but it got my attention. I love sharing what I'm learning with my friend. Thank you again for making this course easy to follow and grasp. Alvina. As I evaluate my life, I could really see the reality of what is being expressed in each lesson. Thanks. Peter. Excellent. Thank you. Brian. Powerful. Worth every penny. Lynn. The class is going to change your life. You will no longer tell yourself you can't do it. You are not smart enough. You are not talented enough. You will see through the false statements they have been trying to force down your throat and get you to believe. You were born this way. You can only go so far. You can only be so smart. Your genes determine your intelligence, and your potential was determined by your genes. Look, don't let one more day pass where you remain brainwashed by these lies. Start the class today and free yourself from these false statements and limiting beliefs. Discover how this life-changing information can take off the lid and remove all limits of what is possible for you. So what are you waiting for? Click the link and start the class now. You will be glad you did. I look forward to seeing you on the other side as you begin this exciting journey. Just click this link to sign up and you'll be instantly given the link and password to everything. You are going to love it.